Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston, and it is fantastic that you are here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 9th of December 2024. As you know, before we get stuck into looking at the week ahead, what the I Ching is asking us to pay attention to, us as a collective, let us head back to last week. We had Hexagram 7, the family, all right, sticking everyone back together, being the mom that has the hugs and the wooden spoon, making sure everyone is glued back together and focused on what's really important, that everyone is fulfilling their roles and responsibilities properly within the family, whether it's a work family, home family, friend family, whatever it might be, understanding the concept of family and working towards completing things. We had that energy of Hexagram 63 after completion. Finishing the finishing. What was closing for you? What was coming to an end? What was difficult to bring to an end? Because sometimes Hexagram 63 can bring us the challenges of trying to finish something, how difficult it can be, what the challenges are we face, and of course the challenges within the work family, the home family, whatever family meant to you last week. If something came up for you, please do share a comment. Right, let's get into this week. Our first hexagram for this week, the first flow of change. It's shaping our thinking. It's bringing us a mirror for us to look back and reflect on the parts of ourselves where we need to do some work. Okay, it's all about personal development through the I Ching. And we have hexagram 51, shock. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, thunderbolts and lightning. This hexagram is made up of a doubling of thunder. Okay, a thunder on the top, thunder on the bottom, an intensification of thunder energy. Thunder is the eldest son in the family of the I Ching, and he is off to go and carve out his life, move out, go and face the world, travel and experience new things. Okay, its energy is a shaking, rousing up, turning over the energy, shake-ups and shocks and unexpected twists and turns. And these things bring out fresh energy, clear out the old, clear out the static, and prepare us for the new. Just like when we experience a thunderstorm, right? The air before the thunderstorm hits is filled with that moisture, is filled with that static. But as soon as that's cleared and the rain is cleared, there's this freshness, okay, because the air has been stripped of all those ions or whatever the scientific explanation is. But there's a clarity, there's a simplicity, there's a relief, and the shake-up has released it. Okay, so wherever we have in life, right, where we are too stuck, where we're in comfort zones, if you are a person that's committed to growing in this life, of wanting to understand yourself and your world, to make the world a better place, any of those things, you must know that when you are stuck in a comfort zone, what comes? Da, da, da. Hexagram 51. We all have it. We all have areas of our life where we get stuck and bogged down in the ritual and the rhythm and keeping things safe, keeping things small, keeping things, in a controllable state. And this type of hexagram just turns everything upside down. Shake, 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 shake. Now what happens is we experience this hexagram often as a sudden acceleration of events, something unexpected happening, a shock, a surprise. Sometimes you can think of hearing something in the news about somebody or something, and it's just a total surprise, total shock. It's these kinds of shake-up, shock, surprises that just well up and bring us an opportunity to look at it and reflect and clear the energy and move on and allow the shaking energy to clear the path. But what we can do is, under the threat of these lightning bolts, right? You can imagine you're walking across an open field, right? And there's a lightning storm and the bolts are going all around us. Repeated shocks, shake-ups, movement, energy, new. Okay, that's the energy. What we can do is we can lose ourselves to fear. And the strategy of this hexagram is, no matter what is happening around us, do not lose your mind. The I Ching talks about having this a special sacred vessel you're carrying with a special liquid in. I often talk about this idea you're carrying a sacred egg. You're carrying this egg, this precious thing that you are here to do. And all this noise, okay, and all the storms that are brewing around you, which might not even be your stuff. It might be everyone else's stuff. It might be your stuff, whatever it is. The storms that are brewing, okay, can put us into a state of total fear, all right? Total deer in the headlights panic. And the strategy is, do not panic. Do not lose your mind. Do not drop the egg. Go into that place of composure. Go into your center so that no matter what is happening around you, you just keep walking. Okay. I'm busy reading a beautiful book that I am absolutely loving called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. So I know it's not a new book, so I kind of found it a little later from when it was published. And there's this amazing story she tells about fear. And in her life, fear for all of us living creative lives, living lives where we are pushing the boat out and we're trying to do something different and we're pushing out, pushing the envelope. Fear can be debilitating, right? Especially when there's lots happening. And the lots happening can be negative things and can also be lots of positive things. Okay, we can have the same fear response to success as we do to challenge. And she says in her life, she has come to accept that fear is always going to be a passenger. She sees her life as this kind of road trip. And she says, fear will be acknowledged and will always have a seat in the vehicle, right, on the road trip. But fear is never allowed to choose the path. Definitely fear is never allowed to drive, and fear is never allowed to choose the snacks. Okay, so that's the idea. Is that we're on a road trip, right? And there are all kinds of hazards and interesting, unexpected events happening on this road trip. And fear can be given a seat in the car or in the vehicle, but may not be allowed to drive or dictate the route. And so overcoming fear and overwhelming panic, okay, the deer panicking in the headlights, this week is going to help us focus on that, okay, because no matter what happens, these are tools that we can apply. You can choose to apply them, you can choose not to apply them. But these are tools, right? These hexagrams are 64 types of tools. This tool says, do not lose your mind, do not drop the egg, do not panic. Do not run like a crazy person, okay? Go into the center, go into your core, right? Your rod of steel is up down your spine. And you go to that center place and you steel your reserve. You take a deep breath and you forge ahead, one foot in front of the other. Okay, that is the energy we are working with this week. All right, so you might find with this energy, there's lots happening. Every day, there's something happening. We don't need lots of changing lines to bring this energy in with Hexagram 51, shock or shake-up. Be open to shake-ups, sudden, unexpected changes, rapid movement forward, right? And the way we maximize this is we don't drop the egg, all right? We don't let fear drive. We stay calm and we move forward. We don't stop, but we certainly do not go into a blind panic. Now, this week, one changing line in the 4th position. And even though this is a young male energy, okay, so theoretically it would be a strong position, it's in a tenuous position on the 4th line, okay? So you're just over the middle part of the hexagram, first trigram in the bottom, moving up to the top trigram or top 3-line image, and you just cross this chasm, right? It's kind of tricky. This line talks about how we work with shake-up, with this hexagram, when you are stuck in the bog, bogged down in mud, okay? So part of this week, we've got the whole energy of 51 shock applying, but this specific thing wants to come and help us, this particular changing line, talking about what happens if we find ourselves bogged down. So part of this week, okay, wherever you feel this bogged down energy, you're knee deep in sucking mud, right? And it's just hard work, okay? And you can panic, all right? You can just see this image of this kind of little deer where he's up to his chest in mud and he's like total blind panic, okay? That is not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we are going to recognize, firstly, where we are bogged down. Okay, because that's the first step, is being honest and reflecting and understanding that we are bogged down somewhere. And when that bogged downness comes to you, the second part kicks in, which is once we know where we bogged down, where we're feeling stuck, okay, is we find a way of just pulling ourselves out of the bog. Okay. Panicking in that space just keeps us bogged. In fact, we get more bogged down. So what we have to do is we have to just look around us and find the rope. Okay. Now, the rope that we then use to give us some extra oomph to get out slowly of this feeling or a situation or a mental paralysis of being bogged down, okay, be open to what being bogged down means for you, is to find that rope and slowly pull yourself out of it. The rope represents the new energy, the new thread that is emerging, that is showing itself up in this Hexagram 51 shock energy. So in the midst of the bog, what we have to do is we have to tune into where this new energy is, what's calling us forward, what is that kind of glimmer, that shimmer of a way out, all right? That tiny little flicker of light that is showing us where we can move towards. And the way we get out of that bogness, right, is we then follow that and we pull on that rope. Okay, so we can go into overwhelm. It's just too much. I just can't deal with all those stuff. Okay, we can get into that mode. I know that is something that I've been struggling with of late. What we do is we find that rope. We find one thing. We find the thread we can tug on, which is the new. Okay, the thing that's going to move us forward. A little chasm, a little kind of schism that's opened up that we can move through and pull ourselves through. We do not stay bogged. We find a way of pulling on that rope. We look for the rope. We pull on the rope. We slowly move out of the bog. Okay. Obviously, sometimes being bogged down are physical challenges beyond our control. We find new ways around it, but very often when we feel bogged down, it's how we're feeling and thinking about our situation, our perspective, which is actually the bogged downness, new word. Okay, so we change our perspective, we change how we're looking, we allow this change energy of Hexagram 51. Rapid change, all right? This is an opportunity to just, shake things up. Okay, we use that change energy and we find that way of pulling ourselves out of that bogness. So where does this one changing line lead? Because now we have a second hexagram, because there is at least one changing line. Our hexagram, our outcome hexagram, our relating hexagram, our victory path for the week is hexagram 24, the return. With this hexagram, you can see a whole lot of female lines and a male yang light line coming in the bottom. So it refers to the turning point, the return of light after darkness, okay, after the dark night of the soul, okay, of all the lines being dark, of the quiet stillness, the light and the spark, creative spark coming back in. So it can refer to either a turning point in a challenge, okay, a feeling like things are going to change. Now remember, we are not in the high summer with this energy. We are turning from the winter to spring, okay. So it's the glimmers of the shift. And I spoke about that kind of looking for that little schism of light, that little kind of little bit where you can aim towards in getting out of the bog. That gets you into the return. Okay, so we are looking for that. Through that changing line, we're looking for that little slither of light, our way out of the cave, okay, or the bog, wherever we're stuck. And we are recognizing that things have started to shift into a better direction. It might be a particular situation you're struggling with where you see this. It might be a whole feeling across your life in general, but the turning point manifests, right? And it can also be with this hexagram turning back to something of the past, a return to something. Not just to better times, but to something that was useful, a tool you used in the past, a place you used to stay, a friendship you used to have. So it's that kind of way of returning back, getting back onto the path, all right, realigning yourself with where you need to go and feeling like things are starting to finally shift. Okay. Wonderful that it gives us hope, it gives us energy, it gives us the slither of light to grasp on, to aim towards, to move through whatever the difficulty you face at this time. That little slice of light, that slice of hope, that way out, that rope out of the stuckness is there, and we need to see it and be open to it, and we need to follow it. And we need to follow it this week without drama, without hysteria, with a calm, focused attitude, hunker down, okay, on what's important, what's the purpose, what's critical, what's getting us back onto the path, back into better times, realigning ourselves with the highest and the best that we can do right now. The return to the good and the light. Ooh, interesting week. Let's see how it transpires for us. What are the shakeups that we experience personally? What are the shakeups we experience in our world? And what are we going to do with this bog? Are we going to heed the advice of the I Ching and find that one little thing to draw us forward? Or are we going to get stuck there and have a nice big fat pity party all by ourselves in the mud? I am not going to hang out there. No, thank you. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me. If this was useful or valuable, a nice thumbs up or a like would be great. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you'd like to receive the weekly and monthly episodes straight into your app, click that subscribe button, hit the bell, and of course the follow button if you're on the podcast version. And I look forward to seeing you soon for our next weekly overview. Until then, take care.